Now, to give us the latest on the repatriation process, we are joined by our reporter Zola Sholwana, who's outside the Waterkloof Air Force base. Zola, very good evening to you. It's been a very long wait, especially for the loved ones of those that we've lost in the DRC. What's the latest with regards to the repatriation?
A very long wait it has been, Kat, considering the fact that we first heard about the repatriation process early this week, with families of the deceased or fallen soldiers anticipating to receive bodies of their loved ones so that they can begin with the process of burying their loved ones. But unfortunately, that has not been the case, because today we were anticipating to see, those soldiers that are no more landing here, or their bodies landing here at the Waterkloof Air Base. But by the look of things, there's no movement. In an event of that kind, you would perhaps expect to see, heavy police or heavy security, actually, because this is not an ordinary event, but it's an event. It's an event that is actually quite big, that would require, this place to actually be occupied, but it does not look like that's the case, because we have been here for a couple of hours. There isn't any movement, literally, so we don't know whether the soldiers or the bodies will be arriving today. But I must tell you that family members in every province, especially those that we managed to speak to from Limpopo, are eagerly waiting to receive bodies of their loved ones. I mean, this happened about 2 weeks ago, and when we were engaging with those families, some of them had already started with funeral preparations, assuming that the process is not going to be a lengthy one, but it turned out to be quite a long process. And it's understandable because we are talking about repatriating bodies, so there's paperwork that needs to be done for the bodies to be released to members of the South African National Defence Force or the South African government, just to ensure that South Africans receive the right people or the right bodies that should be taken to family members who lost their loved ones. I mean, when we engaged with families, they spoke about how these people were, and also the last time that they spoke to them. And most of them were mentioning that they were looking forward to seeing them when they returned from the Democratic Republic of Congo, because they last saw them early last year, and to really think that reality will start kicking in for many of the families when they finally realize that indeed their loved ones are no longer there any day or any moment from now, because we really do not know at this point as to when these bodies will finally arrive in South Africa, Kat. But we do know that there are conversations or engagements that are happening in Tanzania between representatives or officials from the SADC region, and they are talking about a possible diplomatic solution to resolve the security issue in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a country that we know has not seen peace since the year of 1994. So we await to hear the outcome of those engagements, if they are going to yield any positive results. You'd understand, Kat, in the beginning of all of this, after the SANDF announced the passing of the first 9 soldiers, South Africans did not take this well, with some of them urging government to, actually call our troops to return to South Africa, because they were claiming that that is not our battle. But understanding that South Africa was there for a peacekeeping mission, then they had to remain in that particular country. The number then increased to the number that we now know of. So you can imagine how people are feeling at this moment, especially the families of these fallen soldiers. But, by the look of things, if I'm going to step out of shot and show you, really, there is nothing happening here at the Waterkloof. We haven't seen any movement for the hours that we have spent here. I assume this is not supposed to be just a normal occasion. It's a very special occasion that would, perhaps we would actually see some movement outside of here, would see SANDF, members, just to show that there's actually something happening. But if we've got the latest updates from the SANDF or anything comes during this moment, of course, we'll let our viewers know, as everyone is eagerly waiting to hear what's going to happen from now moving forward.
So, Zola, I mean, the latest, of course, coming in from the SANDF is that the remains of our soldiers are on their way to Uganda. So I can imagine that it's still quite a while before we'll see any movement down at that Waterkloof Air Force base. That's Zola Sholwana. Thank you so much for bringing us that update.